It is with pleasure that I would like to inform the general public that the NIPA, the National Institute for Professional Advancement, recently held meetings with EPI Aruba representatives. EPI is the similar educational institute in Aruba which handles intermediate professional education. And in its efforts to expand the level 3 and 4 programs, which they hope to offer soon, a 3-man delegation from EPI Aruba concluded very successful 3-day meetings and discussion session with the board and management of NIPA. The delegation consisted of Mr. Ryan Maduro, Dean of Academic Affairs, Mrs. Iraika Yanes, Director of Education, and Mr. Andres Heerman, Dean of Academic Affairs for Hospitality and Tourism Affairs. The discussions with NIPA centered on the innovations and 2020 plans of EPI, as well as discussions regarding common areas for collaboration and cooperation that could materialize in a living document and articulation agreement. Common areas for cooperation and collaboration were the sharing of expertise, technical support to NIPA in the form of curriculum development, renovation and innovation, lifelong learning and adult education courses, as well as best practices and areas for mutual development and opportunities for third-party partnerships. The visit was concluded with a debriefing between the visiting EPI delegation, the school management, and the board, as well as an evaluation was conducted and future planning sessions were planned. Students of the Culinary Arts Department of NIPA prepared and served, of course, with guidance from their instructors, an impressive and tasty 3-course meal for the visiting delegation, as well as invited guests, which I was a part of, and must say that they received rave reviews for such. At the end of the evening, I presented a letter to the delegation to take back to their Minister of Education, outlining the willingness to strengthen ties and expand the current relationship between the countries, as well as to outline St. Martin's future willingness to cooperate with EPI, with Aruba, in the area of education. The team from EPI and an advisory team from NIPA will continue their discussions and seek to finalize the articulation agreement between the institutions in the very, very near future. I believe that is a great step forward for the NIPA Institute, and I congratulate them on taking this initiative in further expanding the level of courses being afforded to our local St. Martiners. Also, I would like to inform the general public that UNESCO it's in the last 2 weeks that young people will be able to send a message to education authorities of Latin America and the Caribbean by launching the second phase of the Tell Them What You Want to Learn campaign. The UNESCO Regional Bureau of Education for Latin America and the Caribbean is working with other organizations in the region to implement the second phase of an online consultation, which asks young people between the ages of 15 and 25 to, quote, tell them what you want to learn, unquote. The first phase of the consultation implemented from June 14th to July 14th of this year showed that young people want to learn about a wide range of topics and to open themselves up for learning about pending issues for today's world. The preliminary results illustrate young people's desire to learn in settings beyond schools and the traditional forms of teaching. The consultation allows young people to express their thoughts on what types of learning they consider to be relevant, how they want to learn, and the topics and methods that are most interesting to them. The ideas and answers received will help the rethinking and redesigning of education in the future. The online consultation was launched to get young people's perspective on how, particularly goal number 4, quote, to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, unquote, in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and how these can be achieved. This global commitment was adopted by over 193 countries and is now in need of adaptation to the realities of Latin America and the Caribbean. In order to do this, it is pivotal that the opinion of our young people are obtained to guide the educational policies of the next years, and therefore also very important to us. The deadline to submit input is October 30th of 2016, so less than 2 weeks away. UNESCO Regional Bureau of Education for Latin America and the Caribbean, with headquarters in Santiago, Chile, was created in 1963 for the purpose of assisting the region's 37 member states, which include St. Martin, in the definition of strategies to further development of their education policies. The short survey, which comprises of less than 10 questions, can be done online in the English language or the Spanish language. Take part, so I encourage you, young people between the ages of 15 and 25, to take part. Go online, share your opinions by visiting the following link: http://on.unesco.org/1L2V9. This will be sent to the media digitally so that they will be able to get it exactly right, so that all will have that opportunity between the ages, of course, of 15 and 25. For further information, you can also follow the news at their Facebook page, UNESCO Santiago. So that's on the international sphere, which has a very large impact for St. Martin as well. So I do hope our young people will form part of the survey, as it affects the Latin American as well as Caribbean countries, of which we are one of them. Kingdom Games. In May of 2016, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport was informed by a representative of the Ministerie van Veiligheid en Justitie in the Netherlands, so the Dutch Ministry of Security and Justice, of the intention to revive the concept of the Kingdom Games. The tournament is an initiative of the Minister of Internal Affairs and Kingdom Relations, Mr. Ronald Plasterk, and is being organized by the Ministry of Justice of Aruba and of the Netherlands. The tournament takes the following stands. In Dutch, alleen jij bepaalt wie je bent. In English, only you can determine who you are. And it is an intervention aimed at youth between the ages of 12 and 17, so the vulnerable youth. The sports being focused on for this initiative is baseball, basketball, and soccer. It is expected that Prince Peter Christian of Oranje, Nassau, will officially open this tournament during the first baseball game. This tournament will take place next week between the 22nd to the 27th of October. It was expected to take place in the first week of October, but due to the inclement weather that was passing the lower islands, Dutch Windward Islands, Dutch Leeward Islands, they did not take place then. It will be taking place next week. St. Martin, though late in the procedure, is expected to take part in this tournament with just a baseball team, as well as myself and a representative of the Department of Sports will be attending the tournament to take note of the organization of such a tournament, as well as to take the opportunity to meet with our counterparts from Aruba. So that is the 22nd to the 27th of October. Lastly, the Brown Pelican Awards. Once again, the Brown Pelican Awards is expected to take place in November, on the 13th to be specific, during the St. Martin's Day weekend. We will be honoring men, women, and children who practice sports avidly and are contributors to the development of sports in general. This year, the focus will be on the legends of football, so what they call soccer, but we in St. Martin call football, in the same way as we honored the legends of baseball last year. On Monday, October 24th, the department will be releasing the names of the persons/organizations who have been put forward by the different sports organizations for recognition in the various categories. Once again, we will be highlighting the following categories: Best Overall Team, Best Sponsor, Best Coach, International Ambassador, Best Sport Organization, Sporting Innovations, Female and Male Athlete of the Year, Sports Icons, and Best Sporting School. Finally, it is important to mention that the venue for this year will be at the Port of Plaisance under the tent, and tickets will soon go on sale, as the proceeds, as the last time, will go towards the Male and Female Athlete of the Year. Last year's male athlete Desmond Patterson for bodybuilding and Shakiba Pink for track and field were the recipients of the awards as well as the proceeds. So you will be hearing more, of course, during the marketing campaign for the Brown Pelican Awards, but we look forward to highlighting our sport icons and continue to do so on a yearly basis.
I was deceived about the nature of my job. I was abducted and sold. All my documents were confiscated and money was withheld from me. I was isolated and confined to one area. I was forced into prostitution. I was forced to lie to authorities and my family. Now that you know, what will you do?
You can help by calling the National Reporting Bureau on Human Trafficking at 542-1553 or send email to naticotip@gmail.com. Human trafficking and exploitation. Please report it.
Minister Arundel, welcome back. Based on your presentation, I gather that was your farewell speech. I want to tell you personally, it was a pleasure working with you, and I wish you all the very best in your future endeavors. Now, my question to you regarding your ministry. Sex shops on St. Martin, adult entertainment shops. There were business license issued to these shops. The inspectorate have raided some of these shops or controlled them, if you want to say that. And what I would like to know, in these business license, is it specifically mentioned that minors cannot purchase items from these shops?
Good morning, Bishar. Thanks for that question. I'm not very familiar with the stipulations in those business licenses. However, I do believe that similar to the licenses that are issued for entities to sell alcohol, that the similar stipulations would apply. But I will have to request the Department of Economic Licenses to give me more information regarding your question, and I will forward that information to you.
Thank you, and again, all the best. My question now to Minister Gibson. Normally, Minister Gibson, you always give us a lot of good news. This morning, you share a lot of bad news. Can St. Martin, and this is for clarity purposes, contest or make any kind of objection to the kingdom regarding the letter or the recommendations sent by the CFT? That's part one of the question. Part two is, what reason did the kingdom give to in hesitating to solve the de-risking issue for the Dutch Caribbean islands? Did they give a reason for hesitation?
Thank you, Bibi. The reason that was forwarded is that they are concerned with the supervision of the central bank. No further details as to what they mean specifically as far as supervision is concerned. However, that's the reason they advance. I'm leaving today, going to Curacao to speak with my counterpart, given the importance of this issue, with an aim to flesh this out deeper to find out what's their problem and what is it they expect of the central bank to be able to meet the bar that they have set.
I ask you about, other than the letter, the risking issue, I ask you also, can St. Martin, and this is for clarification purposes because you didn't mention it or I didn't hear it, can St. Martin contest the recommendations given by the CFT to the kingdom?
The only thing you could do is express your views to the kingdom government, but the kingdom government already made its decision based on the information they received from the CFT. Whether or not that information is accurate or inaccurate makes no difference. The decision has been made. The proof of the pudding is another issue, namely, we have until, as far as budget 2016 is concerned, December 31st. You really cannot express a view with certainty what the situation is until December 31st, 2016. And what I have been advancing to them is that, in my view, given the windfalls that we have worked on, including, which I didn't mention before, the division of assets of the Netherlands Antilles, that in my view, and the view of my department, 2016 budget will end up the way we have projected it. But of course, that's my say-so, and they have another say-so. And you've got to wait for the outcome to get the hard evidence. So it's somewhat futile, in my view, to make an issue about that in this time until the evidence is on the table. At that point in time, I will have reason to speak and to speak loudly.
Thank you for that verification. May I ask my last question to the Prime Minister?
3 questions. You can get your second round of questions. You can direct it to the Prime Minister. Next, member of the media, Andrew Dick, Daily Herald. You have the floor. Good morning.
Yes, good morning to the Council of Ministers. Minister Arenel, just on civil aviation. Ava Airways and St. Martin Airways, I know they were in the process. Are they still in the process? What's the update on that?
The last update that I received was that they were supposed to submit their financials, both companies. And once the financials have been submitted, they will be sent to the central bank, but that entity is the entity that review the financials. And once they are, they meet all the requirements, then they will receive the economic licenses. I think I believe the one for St. Martin Airways is presently at the central bank for review as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your question, Andrew. Judy Fitzpatrick, Daily Herald. Good morning. You have the floor.
Yes, a very good morning to you and good morning to all ministers present. Minister Gibson, I have more of a clarification question for you regarding the outstanding casino fees. Does it involve all of the casinos on the island who have outstanding? What is the total amount of the outstanding we're talking about? What specific period, based on the agreements that they've made, do they have to repay? And what mechanisms have been put in place to ensure that as they pay off these arrears, they don't build up more arrears?
Those are your 3 questions in one shot.
Thank you.
Okay, gotcha. Minister Gibson, you have the floor.
Well, first of all, the point of departure is whatever is current. They've got to stay up to date on whatever is current. What is in arrear, my instructions was that they will have 9 months to pay. There has been some leeway as far as that 9 months is concerned. As far as the amount is concerned, that is somewhat, I should say, unclear. Initially, the amount was 12 million. At that point in time, they had not yet requested to apply the time bar provision. Some of them, in the meantime, have. So the 12 million would be reduced by whatever amount has been missed because of passage of time, and that the receiver can no longer collect. The exact amount, as far as what remains, I don't have yet. It concerns all casinos, none excepted. Substantial amounts have been paid. down initially, and there are agreements for monthly payments that all of them have to make. And they are making.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Judy. BB Hodge. Shaw, you have the floor.
Thank you, Cedric. Prime Minister Marlin, based on my understanding, the Minister of VSR is not on the island. His cabinet may be closed. I checked and I cannot find anybody there. But I'm going to ask you a question that falls under facility management. This last week, an ambulance, I don't know if you want to call it exploded or burnt or fire, whatever it is, but an ambulance was destroyed. Can you tell us what impact this has on the ambulance department? Further to that, was it fully insured? And how much St. Martin will be getting back, the insurance company will be paying compared to the cost of the ambulance and equipments?
Good morning. No, I do not have that information on hand. I know all government vehicles had insurance. After a number of years, the all-risk insurance is changed to a third-party insurance, but I know we made a decision sometime years ago that vehicles like ambulances and whatnot, have to maintain the all-risk insurance. So I do not have the details of anything as it pertains to the incident. What we have discussed this week is the status of the purchase of new ambulance. I am not sure whether they had already, the order was placed, I believe so. So we are expecting, I think, 2 new ambulances in the course of the months. It is not something that it's like you go down by a car dealer and pick up a RAV4 or a Hyundai and drive it up. They're special order vehicles that need to be ordered months in advance, and that was done.
Perhaps I can help you a little with information in that respect. The ambulance was insured for $13,000. The reason for that is taking the amortization of the ambulance into consideration, because it concerns an ambulance that's there since 2011, that the value of it, you're not going to insure it for more than what the value is, deducting amortization. That's why it was insured lastly for $13,000. And we still have 4 other ambulances left.
Thank you, Minister Gibson. Minister Arundel, in your statement, your presentation, you mentioned the STA director and that there are legal advices sent to the Legal Affairs Department for the appointment of this person. If I remember correctly, and I may ask you to correct me if I'm wrong, in the first articles, videos, etc., that was published when the candidate met you and the MP, I understand that the person was already appointed, and now you're saying a letter of intent was signed. What is it exactly? And do we expect some sort of court case so that this person can be appointed because of the letter of intent?
But as I've stated, and based on the videos and whatever you saw, Mr. Bryson was selected based on the selection committee that comprised of the Supervisory Council and myself as a minister. Based on the selection that was made, he was the highest scored, and it was decided to offer him the position. The position was the position offered via the letter of the offer letter was for a period of 1 year. What happened is, because of all of the media coverage, negativity, problems with Winair, the entire process came to a standstill. However, I asked the member of the board who was appointed to get information from the Supervisory Council as to the recommendation made to appoint Mr. Bryson. That has not happened as yet. Reason is that they wanted more clarity as to whether his appointment is definite and based on what criteria, what article this appointment is in effect. What I can say now is, based on that, the request was sent to the Legal Affairs Department to look into it, to see whether the appointment stands, and if so, how we should proceed with this matter.
You gave a list of licenses that were given out by your department. And I want to know if I am wrong in this also, or if you can clarify. Were there a moratorium on taxi license? If so, did the ministry lift the moratorium and issue taxi license?
Yeah, indeed, there is a moratorium since 2014 on taxi licenses, and no taxi licenses were issued. As I can recall, we had 3 persons that appealed their case, and based on the appeals committee decision, those 3 persons were granted a taxi license. The